folks, and welcome to the Kicking Out of Kayfabe podcast. I'm your host, Colin. Thank you very much for joining me here today. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with the one and only Temple Bar bad boy, Terry Thatcher. Now, me and Terry are going to touch on a lot of subjects here today, including his NLW title win over Scotty. He was the first person to win the title after Jordan Devlin vacated it way back when. We also discuss his first stadium match against Eddie Kingston and how his significant other Lynda thought about that match and the outcome. A lot of marks on his chest. We also talk about the Haskins feud that went on for a while, a year-long feud that, in Terry's words, as you'll see, isn't finished. We also talk about if we are going to get that match between Lynda and Vicky, or even a mixed tag. All answers are here. This is a good one. Enjoy. So welcome everyone to the Kicking Out of Kayfabe podcast. I'm Colin, your host. Thanks very much for joining me here today. Today I'm joined by the one and only Temple Bar bad boy, Terry Thatcher. How are you, Terry?
It's crack, lads. How are you all?
It's
How
great.
are you, Colin?
Great to have you on, mate. I really appreciate you coming on. How's fatherhood? You had baby number 2, 3 months ago now?
Yeah. She's 3 months last, just Saturday gone. She's 12 weeks. So, yeah, it's tiring. Is what it is.
I can only imagine, mate. So you're now the one boy in a family of 3 girls?
Yeah. These even me fish is a female. I'm surrounded by them. Not in the way young 18-year-old me would have liked.
And is it safe to say that you've there's 2 mammies in the house now as well? I'm presuming.
Pretty much, yeah. Orla. I don't know. She's taken a bit. She's taken a big shine to her little sister now that she's been forced to be around her all the time from lockdown. But yeah, she was super excited about having a baby sister. But once Aoife got here, it was very, oh yeah, she's nice, but she doesn't do anything. So I'm just gonna go over and watch something on Netflix instead. But now that she's got nothing else to do, she's very oh my God, look, she smiled. So she's becoming more and more interested every day.
That's very good. I'm sure they'll have a really special bond as well. And hopefully start going to shows as well once they start to grow up.
Yeah,
a couple more fans, or maybe even wrestlers down the line.
Yeah, bit of luck.
Okay, so that's what we're here to talk about today. And anyway, we're here to talk about you and your wrestling career. So let's go right into it. Bring us way back to the start. How did you get into wrestling?
I got into wrestling because I am the 7th out of 8 kids. So when you're that low on the totem pole, you don't have an option with what you're watching. So if my older brothers are watching wrestling, I'm the 7th out of 8 kids. Sorry, Lynda's interrupting me and correcting me on my own life.
Hey, Lynda.
Yeah. Hey, Lynda. Yeah, I'm the 7th out of 8 kids. Yeah. 7th out of 8 kids. So yeah, I didn't have an option with what we were watching. So if my older brothers are watching wrestling, then I was watching it as well. It just so happened that I really enjoyed it too. And yeah, just kept watching, and around about the time I was about 12, I started coming up with this idea that I was going to get into wrestling, even though at that point there was no wrestling skills or nothing really available over here. But I have an auntie who lives in Canada, so naturally I was like, oh well, once I'm finished school, then I'll just move to Canada and train in the dungeon, and I'll be grand, I'll be sorted. But yeah, didn't really work out that way. I didn't realize how much flights would cost and whatnot, or living expenses or anything like that. But yeah, that was my original thought process on getting involved in wrestling.
Is it safe to say that you were the crash test dummy growing up then for the older brothers?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, not much has changed. Obviously, like still like the smallest guy in the room anyway. So I had plenty of practice before I actually started.
You're
But
taking a lot of
yeah,
bumps from a young age, and anyway.
yeah, pretty much.
So then, how did you go from there? How did you then get into actually becoming a wrestler? Then, what was the spark that made you go and start training or look into training?
Um, it was around 2003, 2004 when the wrestling channel started up on Sky, and they had a lot of independent shows, and it was where I first got kind of introduced to TNA and other places like that,
Mhm.
like places that weren't WWE, and yeah, I think it was also around that time when IWW started up, um, and I'd been messing around out my back garden with all my mates and stuff like that. And anytime anyone had like a mattress they were getting rid of, it somehow ended up out my back garden, and we'd do our own little outdoor or backyard promotion. Well, I say promotion. It was just like a few of us just like practicing back body drops and spine busters on each other and jumping off the walls and stuff like that. But nothing really. We occasionally recorded it if anyone happened to have a camcorder. But then a mate of mine got involved with IWW, and then he was on to me saying, "Oh, you should definitely come down. You should come down and try this. You should come down and try this." And I took him up on it. I went down one of the days and got there, and I was nervous as fuck. But I was really, really interested in it. I thought this is something that I could do. Got there and realized that I didn't have enough money to pay for the insurance, so I wasn't allowed to train. But I was able to sit in and watch one of the classes, so kind of got me really interested. Then to say, this is yeah, this once I have the money back up, I'm definitely going to be coming back down. And yeah, eventually got the money up for came down, and yeah, just I think I took to it fairly quickly. Like the bumping was came fairly natural. Again, probably because I've been getting thrown around since I was 3 years old, so I was fairly used to getting bashed. And
So,
then yeah, kind of kicked off from there.
so obviously, like it's very tough going into that kind of environment. Did you find any kind of were there any kind of pitfalls at the very start when you were going in? You said that you took to it very naturally, but was there anything that kind of threw you off at all at the start?
Um,
Like
just
obviously,
yeah, the
like
little minor
people go
blip with going down.
people go in with this kind of mindset of the business being something that maybe it's not. Especially from a
Mm.
fan perspective, a lot of people probably think that it's something that it's not. Did that throw you in any way?
No, no. I think by that stage, I was what I think I was like 17, 18 when I was starting. So I'd gotten an idea of what it was, and
Mhm.
by this time, there was a lot of like shoot interviews and stuff going around. So I was getting more and more into the idea of what happens backstage before I actually started going down. But then when I went down, I learned so much more about like backstage protocols, like the
Mhm.
fucking handshakes and stuff like that, and all this other stuff that I would have no idea about. But no, I had a fair grasp on the idea that it's more of performance art than it is like legitimate competition.
Mhm. So were you training then on a weekly basis, twice a week, three times a week? How often would you be training then?
Um, it was mainly like I'd usually get down on the weekend because I was still in school at the time.
Hmm.
So I'd get down every Saturday, and they do long classes on Saturday. So I get down to them as much as I could. Um, but yeah, like I said, like I was taken to it fairly naturally, and just yeah, then just learning the the ins and outs of psychology and stuff like that. But like as far as the physical part, the bumping, um, yeah, I took to that fairly quickly, and yeah, just being small, and I was fairly agile at the time and flexible, so I was able to do a lot more stuff than some of the other lads were starting around the same time as well.
So how long were you training then before you had your first match?
About I think it was about 5 or 6 months thereabouts. Um, so and it was fairly quick for at the time. Um, Usually I'd probably recommend being at it a bit longer before you get in front of an audience. But the guys in IWW were kind of stuck with they needed someone to fill the Irish Dragon role, and I happened to fit the bill. I had the same kind of physique as your man, and yeah, just I was doing most kind of doing similar moves that he would have used. So they just said, "Well, we'll throw him in, see what happens from there." And yeah, it was fun.
And can you remember the match?
I can, yeah. I can remember the scenario of the match. Like I remember, like it was me versus Ballymun Browser, who was happened to be one of my trainers at the time. So I was happy out with that. That it'd be nice and simple. I think it was only like 8 minutes, and I swear it felt like it was probably 2.5. It felt like it started and was over. I was like nothing went wrong. We'd been down to the gym, or we'd been down to the school during the week or the week before, and we'd went over what might happen and what we might do, and yeah, everything kind of went off without a hitch. I was happy out with it. Browser was happy with it. Nothing seemed to go wrong. Um, yeah, yeah, that was uh, that was that. I think it was in Blanche, as far as I remember. That would have been, yeah, I think was it February. I think it was February '06, and yeah, it was easy. Like as far as the physical part, like I was shitting myself beforehand, just before we went through the curtain. But like I said, like it was over and done with in what seemed like an instant, and yeah, I was happy, he was happy. Uh, yeah, that's where it all started.
So me and probably a lot of other fans would know you mainly from OTT, which
Hmm.
is obviously the biggest stage in Ireland at the moment. Along with there's a couple of other decent sized promotions out there, but I think anyone would say that OTT is the biggest one. Now,
Yeah,
I think you had your first match in OTT around 2015. So
yeah, I think it was around then. Yeah,
so tell me your journey then between your first match then. When did you say it was? Around
I think it
2006?
was 2006. Early 2000. Yeah, it was early 2006.
So tell me your journey then between 2006 to getting into OTT in 2015. What were you doing during those times? What promotions did you work for and who were you training with and stuff?
Well, yeah, I was IWW for about I think 4 or 5 years. Um, yeah, I was with IWW for about 4 odd years, and after a while, the bookings kind of started slowing down. I wasn't getting put on shows. Their TV show had got cancelled at this point. Um, and by the time I finished up with them, they were they were running very irregularly, and they'd lost their training skill and all, so I couldn't even um, keep training with them around. But yeah, eventually I just said, look, there's no point in me going. Like, there's no point in me trying to keep this going. Um, and then I tried getting into a couple of different places, and for whatever reason, it's probably just honestly it was down to my own just could be just laziness or whatever. I wasn't traveling to other places really. And eventually I got Logan Bryce got onto me. He's an old IWW head as well,
Mhm.
and he was training in a different skill. He was saying that there's this lad down here who's starting up a new promotion. I think you'd be a good fit. So I came down, met up with your man. A few months later, his promotion started, and that was Dublin Championship Wrestling, DCW. Which, yeah, that was an interesting experience. So I was with there from start to finish. And I say start to finish, it literally only lasted like 10 months before like he had officially like pissed off everybody in Irish wrestling. And yeah, so that came and went. But the good thing about the thing that I will say about DCW is it gave, for me personally, it gave me a lot of opportunities to have kind of, I don't know, a more, not high profile matches, but more intense matches and stuff like that, more kind of bigger fight fields. Um, and I got to work with some of the better guys around. Like I got to work with Ryan Smile for a bit through a couple of shows, and yeah, I got to have some really really good matches. There wasn't really big crowds for it, but they were the first group to really utilize social media, and they were posting videos to Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that, all of which have been removed now. So there's no even footage of it out there anywhere apart from the odd DVD that you might find in a car boot sale somewhere.
That's a bit of a
But
shame as well, because it'd be good to go back and
yeah,
have a look at those kind of things.
I think I have like maybe one or two DVDs floating around the gaff somewhere. Um, but yeah, it was a badly run promotion that tried to run they tried to run over 18 shows, but they never promoted it as over 18s. So you'd have families in the crowd while like there's forced blood matches and like just proper like trying to be these wannabe attitude era storylines. Like just yeah, it wasn't it wasn't a good
Yeah, it
place to be. Like
doesn't sound like a good show to be at.
no,
It sounds a bit, yeah,
like again,
cringy is the word that I can kind of
a
think
little
of
bit,
that
a
comes
little bit.
to mind.
Definitely,
Yeah.
it's one of those. Definitely, in hindsight, it's like, oh man, what the fuck was I doing? Like, but and like I said, I had some really good matches. For the few people that remember it, for the few people that were there, they really enjoyed it because they did. They had, I'd say, they had a loyal fan base, but it was a very small fan base. It was the same group of fans that were coming to every show. But yeah, like the whole running an over 18s but not calling it over 18s. It just it soured a lot of people on them. And your man who was running it just had the worst fucking attitude. Like he was legitimately going on like he was some sort, like he was like the Vince McMahon of Irish wrestling. Um, yeah, and he knew fucking nothing about what he was doing. Like it eventually got to the point where the lads were like the guys were the wrestlers were just basically booking their own storylines
Mhm.
and just doing whatever. And yeah, and eventually he pissed off his entire roster. He'd already alienated everybody else in Irish wrestling. And we all just said, fuck this. And yeah, we all went elsewhere. I ended up in main stage wrestling from there, which had actually started up kind of in rivalry of DCW.
Okay.
Um, that was run by uh, lads from the flats and a few others like Lenny Hanna, John Jennings, and a few others like that. They were all running that, so I went down there, and yeah, they welcomed me in, even though I was part of the enemy. They welcomed me in like because I heard they weren't mad at me, I wasn't mad at them. it was just the other lad. So like it was no bother. I came in, did a few months of kind of just doing battle royals and stuff, and then eventually started getting put in proper matches.
And would
And
you have any idea
yeah,
what year we're at here?
um, let's see. I think DCW started in 2010 and was it was finished by early 2011. So I got into main stage from 2011. And I think I was there up until main stage closed up, which wasn't last year. I think it was the year before. Actually, no, it was actually. I think it was only last year when they officially closed up, and the School of Irish Wrestling
Yeah,
started then
I
from
was
there.
just about to say, I think it was just before the school got up and running.
Mm.
So obviously you're saying you're coming out of DCW after being in more higher profile matches. Obviously built you
Mm.
up and your abilities up and probably your confidence up as well. Coming in
Yeah, big
coming
time.
into main stage then, did that propel you into kind of bigger matches? Did it give you a different view on things going into that rather than just going in as a trainee where you're going in as a more advanced type wrestler or more of a veteran wrestler coming in with a lot of younger up and comers then?
Um, yeah, like when I was coming in, when I came in, and I think I was viewed that way in training, but main stage they had a mentality of like kind of earning your spots.
Yeah.
So before I was put into any sort of big matches around, I did a few months of just wrestling in the battle royals, and that was all grand. That was fine with me. Like it was like probably at the time I was thinking, oh, this is a bit of a step back. I mean, I was just having like these big matches, but then I'd kind of remind myself, yeah, you were having big matches, but like for a god awful promotion, so
Mhm.
like does it really count? And I don't want to discredit the work that I did with DCW, but at the same time, like it's not really it's not really worth putting on the CV that you're with a promotion that like went down in flames within a few months. Like, and it's a bit of a black stain on Irish wrestling. But again, like, and that's probably given DCW way too much credit by saying that I had that much impact on Irish wrestling as a whole. But yeah, like I was probably at the time I was a little bit taken aback by going, oh, well, maybe I should be in the bigger matches. But yeah, I said, grand battle royal sorted. I'll do that no bother. And then the next month, battle royal, grand, I'll do that no bother. And yeah, and I was still chipping away. Like I was still um doing whatever at training. And again, it's not like the lads kind of knew that I was fairly good at this point, but um, like I said, it was just they weren't gonna bring me in and put me in these big matches ahead of some of the lads who had been training there for a long time and had been doing the same thing, had been busting their arse trying to get out of the battle royals, and then suddenly I just come in and straight away I'm in these bigger matches. Yeah, they played it straight.
So obviously then OTT was bred out of main stage, I think we could safely say.
Yes.
Joe Cabrera came back from the States, began to train in main stage.
Yeah, he
Well,
started taking over the head training in main stage.
mhm.
He was doing the head training before he left, and then when he came back, he took it over again. And him and him and Lenny started coming up with this idea of running over 18 shows. Found a perfect venue in the Tivoli, and yeah, they started running it from there. And after a couple of months, really started catching on. That this was something that people could get interested in it. And in a lot of ways, it was like DCW, but just like so much better on every single conceivable level. Like the quality of everything that they were putting out at the start was just 10 times better than anybody was doing anywhere in the country, and still is now.
Coming into the start of OTT, then I'm just having a look at your OTT career here as well, and you were on your first show was the 21st of Feb 2015, which I think was the
Yeah,
third OTT show at the time.
yeah. Would have been. It was either the third or fourth. I think it was the. Oh, which one was it? It was the Humperdinck's Monster Factory.
Humperdick at the Monster Factory, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they had like Tiny Iron over, and they had the little guy, Little Legs. He came out as an Oompa Loompa. Him and this big massive dude, Tiny Iron, are working the gymnastics. It's like an excellent little comedy match, and I think that was the same night that Joe and Paul had their big title match, and it was when they had a title switch actually on that night. So yeah, it was a big night. And yeah, I had me debut as the skinhead Terry Thatcher. Yeah, that version of me.
And
Yeah.
can I just ask you, was there a reason why you weren't on the previous shows?
I think it was just the he hadn't quite figured out a spot. Yeah. Joe was very adamant about about he wasn't sold on Dragon. Not so much on Dragon, but not for an over 18 show. He wasn't sold on the idea. He didn't like the gear. He was looking for something to do with me that wasn't Irish Dragon. And yeah, eventually I was down at training and we did a heat spot, and I put some heat on Power, and I just started beating the shit out of him in it. And everybody's just like, "Oh shit, okay, all right, yeah, we might have something there." Like Dragon as a heel, huh? It's interesting. And yeah, over the next couple of weeks, Joe started coming up with these ideas of stuff to do. And once I knew he was interested, then I was like messaging him every couple of days, just like, "Oh, I have this idea. What if I do this? What if I do this?" I think I said it on one of the other podcasts that I was about the fourth person that pitched him the idea that like I could be like the lads from the flats. I could be their dealer. That's where they get their gear from. And then like I'll come in, and then I'll have my own lads from the flats, and it's just like it's like, yeah, that's a good idea. It was almost as good as when Danny Butler said that to me like 10 minutes ago. So it's like.
So who conceived this Temple Bar Bad Boy then? Was it you? Was it Joe? Was it a cross of both?
It was Joe had an idea of he wanted to get me, and there was another lad, Mark Flanagan. He wrestles as Adam Ace over in Canada now. He wanted us to do something, but like he couldn't think of anything to do with us, and he eventually put he gave me this idea of he'd just watched This Is England, and he wanted to have like a kind of a bit of a kind of a football hooligan, but somehow I took that and went. He wanted football hooligan. I came back with like American History X, that kind of skinhead, and yeah, it was just we settled somewhere with it. It was like, okay, this will do, and I cut this promo. We filmed a promo at the gym, and yeah, it went really well. Everybody seemed to be really interested in it. It was like really well shot. Just a lot of kind of over the shoulder visuals. You just see me like putting on the braces and stuff like that, and zipping up the bomber jacket, and like tying the big boots, and kind of just rubbing the shaved head and I'm cutting this promo over the top of it, and just at the end of it, I just kind of walk into frame, into focus, and just like, my name is Terry Thatcher, and I fuck people up, and it was just like, I don't know where that came from, but like, yeah, fuck it, it'll do.
Were you a skinhead at the time, or did you actually shave the head for
No,
that?
no, I had to shave my head for, yeah, did not like that. Neither
Commitment,
did the missus.
absolute
Yeah.
commitment. Yeah, my missus
Yeah, I
would kill
wasn't
me for
happy
shaving
about.
my head. I've brought it up now the last few weeks. The reason why I'm wearing the cap today, by the way, this is I think
Yeah,
episode
same.
4, and I'm wearing the cap today. It's just gotten too much out of control now at this stage, and I ordered a razor about 2 weeks ago. It's still not here, but yeah. Anyway,
Know the feeling. Know the feeling.
so
I'm rocking something serious underneath this hat.
I can guarantee it's not as bad as mine. I'll show you when we finish the show. I'll take the cap off. But anyway, we get back to it. So what would you say? We'll just skip ahead a little bit because we can go back and go through a few of your matches. So what would you say was your biggest match to date? Do you have a big standout?
um, like the Jonah Rock was the one. The Jonah Rock match at Contender 7 was the one that opened everyone's eyes. And started getting me noticed. But
Mhm.
personal favorite is me and Haskins at Contenders. I think it was Contenders 14. I
Was
think.
that the one where you won the title and then lost the title?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think that was
That
my
one.
first contender show actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually gutted
Yeah.
because you gripped me, and it just a bit of a side story here. There was a super fan at the show that I didn't realize who it was. This crazy lady at the bar who just kept screaming, "Come on, Terry!"
Yeah.
And it was only
Yeah. I think I
after,
know her.
and it was only after the match the penny dropped. I was kind of like, who's this one at the bar? She's proper marking out over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
It was
obviously
only
didn't
it was
realize
only
it.
when she came up to the ring and like pulled me out by the hair and like wore the face off me. It's like, okay, now I get
Yeah, that's around the time where the penny dropped. But yeah, I was, as I said, my first contender show, I just thought that was just full of absolute hardcore marks. Yeah,
it.
yeah, Linda, we are talking about you.
Yeah, we are talking about it.
I was like, what the fuck? Which was the other way? Because I don't remember.
All that's been left in, by the way.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so like that match, it was an amazing match. It was my first contenders. That hooked me. Your story hooked me as well, and it wasn't like your only match with Haskins, which is a bit strange for OTT because from my knowledge or from what I've seen, there's no long-standing type feuds that I can pinpoint
Mm.
apart from you and Haskins.
Yeah, and like obviously there's the whole Star Walter Devlin, that whole.
Yeah, but that was
Like,
stop start as well. What I
yeah,
mean by
like they
long-standing
could
feud,
come
you
back
and
to that.
Haskins have literally gone for a year.
Yeah, where it was yeah, the thing with me and Haskins, it started kind of fairly innocently. Like, it was just that we had the three-way with Andrew Everett
Mhm.
in the basketball arena, and yeah, we had this finish in mind that, like, well, we keep me looking strong, but Haskins gets the win. So I was like, okay, grand. And yeah, Joe was happy with it afterwards, and he's like, I think we got something there. Like, we'll keep going with this. And then contenders came. There was a Belfast show in the middle of it, but then the contender show. It was, yeah. It's still one of my favorite matches. I think I was nervous enough going into it as well. Like, I remember, like, it was Easter Sunday, so I got in there late because I had to stick around and do Easter Bunny with Orla, and yeah, so I'd gotten there fairly late. Um, Still a bit nervous because, like, even at the when we even though we'd already walked in the treeway, I didn't really get enough time to really sit down and just like shoot the shit with Mark. Um, and we got a few minutes backstage, and yeah, the whole time I'm like, okay, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? And we just happened to catch a few minutes, and I was just like, so, you know, how's the kids? He was, oh, great, great. And we had just like like a proper little, just a yap back and forth, just about being dads. And I was just like, yeah, myself and the missus are thinking about having another. Like, what's it like having two? And like just getting some just genuine like fatherly advice from him and stuff like that. So like it was a really it eased me nerves, which made it a lot easier than to go into the match and be prepared as much as I can be when I'm in there with someone as good as he is.
You do seem to have
But
this kind of natural chemistry as well, though. When you were in
mm,
there, like everything just kind of clicked with the two of you.
yeah,
It didn't seem forced. It was, and again, I think that
he
that's a huge testament to how good the two of you are as athletes in the ring. Like I think we all know how good Haskins is. He's global now, and I think
mm.
you definitely stepped up to his level, especially in that match.
But that's it. That's the thing with Haskins. Like he brings such an intensity to the ring that he forces you to bring it out yourself as well. So like I remember in the three way, and like he's coming into the ring and he's like proper like up into my face and he's up into Everett's face, and it's just like, oh shit, oh, did I do something wrong? Like have I pissed him off somehow? It's just shut up, you. It's just like getting back into his face and stuff like that. I had no idea which way to go about it, but then just realizing, all right, no, that's how he works. He's just that intense when he gets to the ring, and I was like, okay, he's intense. Let's throw it right back at him. By the time we got to the second one, I was I was comfortable with him and really enjoyed the match. Really enjoyed the story we told. I think there was some really interesting spots in it. I love when I can do something that will catch some of the boys off guard
Yeah.
and will catch some of the other people off guard. And yeah, doing that moonsault spot and having some of the trainees like, oh my God, is he okay? Like, are you all right? Like, did you really hurt? Like, how's your knee? Okay, like okay, we got him. But yeah, the biggest thing about that match, and again, it's probably I've said it before, so it's not fresh news, but like it's still peeling back the curtain a little bit. But after the match, we had said, oh, we were supposed to do a promo immediately after the match. So after I'm coming back through the curtain, having won and lost the belt, I was supposed to come back through the curtain, and the camera was going to follow me all the way to the dressing room, and I was going to just fucking start freaking out. I don't think that footage has ever made it anywhere, because when I got back through the curtain, all the boys and girls, all the workers were backstage giving me like doing a round of applause. I was like, oh shit. It's usually doesn't happen until there's a proper title switch, and although there was two title switches in that match, yeah, it's reserved for like a big kind of a big title switch. So like that was really kind of, and I got a few messages off them then over the next couple of days saying like, Jesus man, that was one of the better matches I've seen now in a while. So yeah, really kind of blew my mind that like everybody thought it was that good. And yeah, like I prefer that out of the series of matches that I did. Like again, like I said, it's one of my favorite matches ever. But like it's out of the whole series, as far as an in-ring thing, that's probably my favorite. But then going to the basketball arena again and having that like the big Sean Ryan promo for the next singles match with him was
The Wrestle-Rama
that
trade, I
was
think it was.
yeah that was pretty special. Like getting that big introduction, getting the big entrance, and then the surprise of him having Vicky with him as well. Like
Yeah.
And again, like just bringing that intensity right back to him. Like when like I rewatched that match a while ago, and like the whole thing is just like it's straight from the fourth bell. It's just like boom, 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 boom. What just fucking just at each other the whole time. Like there's no real stopping motion with it. So like I really like that. But yeah, if I had to pick, it would be the one from Contenders.
From a fan perspective, just going back to that WrestleMania 3 match, from a fan perspective and from talking to other people as well, that was one of the biggest, most hyped matches of the night that everyone wanted to see. And I think everyone expected it to be your night as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think we have to course joke about here for a second for not putting that strap on you, because everybody expected you to walk out there as the champ that night. Everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Joe as well. Like you kind of, you never know until the day. Like even back to the NLW tournament final. I think everybody was going in expecting, okay, well, Scotty's going over in this one, Scotty's winning this one, and it wasn't until we got there on the day that we kind of found out. And that was that took me back. That took me back. I think it took Scotty back a little bit, but like Scotty he was like, okay, grand, we'll come back to it another time. And lo and behold, here he is. Scotty is the current NLW. So like, yeah, I think as Joe put it at the time, it was just look, if we don't pull the trigger on Thatcher now, we never will. Like this is at the time, this is as hot as like he's ever been. So like Scotty
was probably what, 12 at the time.
Yeah, like Scotty had it, like he had the world, like he had all the world in front of him, like so he was gonna get another opportunity. So it wasn't they if like as Joe said, like if he didn't pull the trigger on me, then he never would have. So it's as good a time as any.
Sorry, just coming out of WrestleMania 3, this is something that's always played on my mind and a lot of others. So you had that match with Haskins at WrestleMania 3. Vicky practically cost you the match. You and Lynda got pregnant not long after that.
Yeah.
But the speculation is that Lynda was to get involved somewhere along the line after that. Can you confirm or deny any of this?
I haven't heard anything. Like it was definitely something that me and Lynda would talk about when she'd have a few on her, and she's just like, "You see that? I'm gonna make it happen." She was actually we kept it quiet, but she was pregnant at the time.
Okay.
Of the Rama 3 match. We knew, but we didn't. We did that whole like wait until 12 weeks before you announce anything. So. And we hadn't told family or anything, so we weren't gonna let everybody know. But yeah, we were bitterly disappointed. Lynda was very disappointed because she had no idea that Vicky was gonna be there, and she shows up and Lynda's sitting in the crowd, just going, "What the fuck is this?" So yeah, she was not happy.
The amount of stuff that I saw on social media though after that, looking for Lynda and Vicky match after for the next show, not even a mixed tag or anything, just a straight up
brawl. It was just like Lynda just like storming out of the stands and just like tackling her.
And I'm here to see it, and I think a lot of other people would have liked to see that as well. I reckon she'd take Vicky as well.
Yeah.
So now that we're talking about family, and anyway, obviously you have Lynda and you have 2 kids. You have Orla and Eva.
Yeah.
So Lynda's obviously seen you wrestle, as we've spoke about Contenders 14, where I thought she was just a crazy mark. Has Orla seen you wrestle?
She has, yeah. She likes wrestling, but she's not mad about being at shows just because of the noise. Yeah. She's fucking freaked out by noise. Like she covers her ears and jumps onto the ground when she hears a scrambler going past her, which is unfortunately a lot. But yeah, she's not really mad about the noise and the noise of the ring. Like once she's there, maybe after like 2 matches or something, she'll warm up to it a little bit. But she was at one of the skill shows that I was wrestling on, and she seemed to really like it. She's grand if she has people there with her as well. So she has a little friends. My best mate, his son, is always at the contender shows. He's little young fella. He has Down syndrome, but he's always there. Half the times he's dressed up as me.
He's an absolute legend. I've seen him at all
He
the
is
shows.
indeed,
He's
little Jackson.
amazing,
He
and
is.
I've seen him on social media as well, doing all his moves and adventures. An absolute legend.
And yeah, he's my biggest fan. Sorry, Deco, but he is my biggest fan. Yeah, no, he's a lovely little kid. But yeah, like him and Orla are close. So like if he's there, and Orla's there, then she's no bother. She'll zone out the ring and she'll just play with Jackson. But like, I don't think he really likes that. He's like, oh, paying attention. Like,
Yeah.
Blair in the ring.
So what's she like then when you're actually wrestling?
I think she's okay with it. Like I've had to smarten her up a little bit. Yeah, just that like I know. Look, Daddy's not really getting hurt. Like, because I've had to smarten her up because she went to a couple of the all main stage shows, and she, as much as she liked me, as I'm her daddy, she was just like, Terry, who? Martina. She's like, she wrestles in her jammies. I love her. So when she, like, me and I had to wrestle Martina a couple of times last year, and she just like lost the plot with me. Just like, no, you can't bash Martina. She's my favorite. Like, Daddy, you better not win. I was like, all right, fine. And like even some of the matches where I won, I was just like, oh no, Daddy didn't win. Daddy didn't win. Sorry, don't worry about it.
Jeez, that's terrible. Blood's obviously not taking
Yeah.
a water there, all. Not when it comes to Martina. And anyway,
Nope.
so she's okay seeing you in a ring environment, and anyway, she doesn't get
Yeah.
worried to an awful extent or anything, because that's
No,
something
no.
that like that would be my worry if like I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes, that if
Yeah.
it was my child on the outside watching me, I'd be worried that they'd be worried. You get me?
Yeah. I think that's why I felt the need to smarten her up as well. Just like, and like I'd be playing with her in the sitting room and stuff like that, and doing like little wrestling moves, dropping big elbows on her and stuff like that. Like she knows I'm playing with her, but like I do tell her that, like, you know, sometimes people do get hurt, so make sure you don't do this to everybody. Like, don't go into your skill tomorrow and like grab, you know, Dylan in a headlock or something like that, or like super kick, you know, the little young one.
Yeah, you don't want to be getting
But
those
yeah,
phone calls.
no. But yeah, like I've had to smarten her up a little bit, but just let her know that it's still dangerous. So yeah, Lynda, on the other hand, like she just get worried about me sometimes.
That's what I was just about to ask about Lynda. Obviously,
Yeah.
we know she's a huge mark, and she doesn't really show it when she's there. But I'm presuming
Yeah,
on the
until
inside,
she's had a few on her, and then it's just like, no, she no. Sometimes when she, like, some of the times when she's found out about some of the people that I'm supposed to be walking, like when she's finding out about me going against Eddie Kingston, and she's just like, no, I'll ring Joe right now and I'll tell him, like, you're not loud. Like, this guy will murder you.
how was she about your chest afterwards? She give out to you?
She's gotten used to it by now. She just kind of, at this point, she just kind of shakes her head and just like, fucking idiot.
That was a bad one though. Like, we've seen people getting some really bad chops, but that was a really, really bad one. The pictures that you put up afterwards, I took a couple myself when you were in the ring, and then I seen yours from afterwards, and I couldn't help but wince when I was looking at them.
Yeah, I think in some ways probably the target was a bad idea. Like, it just like angered the ball around. But like, I think because I had a red target, it interfered with the chops. Like it would have looked so much more vicious if there wasn't a load of paint all over me as well.
Yeah.
But sure. Like it was a nice little visual for
The
the
target
injuries.
had a great effect. That's what I was gonna say. A great visual.
Mm.
It did kind of say like, "Fuck you, Eddie. I'm
Yeah,
here, and like, this is me chest. You want to come and get it?"
yeah.
Which is very.
That's
Was that your idea?
very. Yeah, yeah. I really wanted to. I really wish I had a thought of it beforehand, but I was like, it was only in the week after. I was like, holy shit, I should have changed my music as well to like hit me with your best shot and stuff like that.
That would have
Ended up,
been amazing.
yeah. But yeah, no, I wanted to do something because at the homecoming I'd come out with the dragon mask because that was part of the promo.
Mhm.
So I wanted to. It was another big stadium show, and it was my first time in the national stadium. So like, well, I got to do something interesting for the entrance. And the Kings have already booked the fire dancers, so I guess I'll have to do something else. So it's just like, Grant, just target. It'd be interesting. But yeah, I don't think Eddie had seen it until we got out, and he was just like, "Oh, that's cute. I'm gonna like you to fuck up, but that's cute."
Yeah, I'd say you like that one now. All right, when he's seen it.
Mm.
So take me back a little bit then. In your kind of career, would you say that you have a big kind of wrestling influence that spurs you on?
Um,
Is there anyone or anything that would kind of drive you that you kind of draw back on?
I don't know. Like as far as wrestlers go, like early influences, like I was a massive fan of Ultimate Warrior when I grew up, but like
Mhm.
you know, I don't exactly wrestle his style, to say the very least. But yeah, like growing up, I started seeing guys like X Pac and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler of all time. But like in the early days, when I saw someone like 1, 2, 3 Kid, it was just like, okay, this this almost looks plausible now. That's when I started developing ideas about like, Jesus, like he's a small lad now. Sean Waltman is like 6'1" and he's way over 200 pounds. So like he's not a small lad.
Yeah.
But like back then when he's standing next to Razor Ramon and all, like he's fucking tiny.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, when I saw him, because I was big into all the action movies and stuff, and Van Damme and Bruce Lee movies and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, like he's small, he does high flying stuff, but he also does like martial arts and karate, as I called it then. So like it was just like, okay, like this, yeah, this is something I'm interested in. This is something that I could maybe do at some point. So he was an early influence for me. And then the more and more I watched Shawn Michaels, particularly in his second run when he came back,
Mhm.
it was just like, okay, this guy's the greatest wrestler on the planet. Um, so as far like he's influential in that sense. As far as like kind of more closer to home influences, I'd say someone like Paddy Morrow.
Mhm.
Um, the very first independent Irish wrestling show I went to see was NWA Ireland show, and Paddy was in the main event, and that was 2004. So like I've been watching Paddy for that long, and yeah, he was a massive kind of massive influence on me back then, and still is a lot today as well.
Mhm. Do you think he's underrated?
Um, not by any of the workers. I think everybody that's uh, ever wrestled in Ireland knows exactly how good Paddy Morrow is. I
Yeah.
think because I think he's flown under the radar a lot.
Mhm.
And because he does so much comedy stick with the lads as part of the lads from the flats, he did that for so long. And Paddy is just a naturally kind of goofy, funny bloke.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. Yeah, he's just a naturally goofy, funny bloke that sometimes it might be hard for some fans to kind of take him seriously. But like when it gets down to it, Paddy is one of the absolute best in ring that this country has ever produced.
And
The
obviously
fact
he's
that as
getting
well that
his. Sorry, go on ahead.
just that he's one of the trainers now with the skill of Irish wrestling as well, and I think it's so beneficial for anybody that does train with him, because he's just got a mountain of knowledge like under his belt, like he really really does, and he's so willing to dish out some of that as well. Like he's like if anyone, like he's not one of those that like he'll just throw his oar in where it's not wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone asks, well, here's what I think you did great. Maybe work on these bits. Like he's real fucking easy to talk to,
Mm-hmm.
and he's very, very, very willing to give out advice.
Yeah, his name
So, like,
keeps coming up on these shows. I think everyone who's been on has mentioned his name at this point, and how good he actually is. And from my perspective, you can see that. But then you look back through his maybe not looking back through his career. I'm not trying to diminish him here now in any way, shape, or form. But you look back and he's never hit the pinnacle of kind of like, even if you look at OTT, he hasn't hit that pinnacle. And it's only
yeah,
now that he's starting to look like he's kind of getting that little push then up there. And I
I think
think
that's it as
anyone would
well.
say
Like,
that he's deserving of it.
I think that's the thing as well with Paddy, is because a lot of his career took place kind of before OTT and kind of outside of OTT for a while, and because OTT is so big that it's what everyone noticed. Like it's the first thing when you talk about Irish wrestling, you will go to OTT, and you look through the back catalogue, and like you said, it's only now that he's getting kind of a singles run over. But like it's everything that he's done before in like camp shows and wrestling.ie shows, and like all the everything he did with NWA Ireland, and like you need kind of look no further when you've got people like Fergal, like Finn Balor and Becky Lynch put over Paddy Morrow as well, and that's saying enough. If like they're at the top of their game and they still go, well, yeah, Paddy Morrow, he's one of the best.
So obviously you mentioned X Factor. That's something that I wanted to draw back on. You said that he was one of your big influences. I presume that you were at WrestleCon when he was over.
I wasn't. I was snapping that I wasn't able to make it. I was absolutely snapping when I wasn't able to. Yeah, I would have loved to just even to say that I was there and that I met. But like, yeah, I was I was raging that I wasn't able to make it to them.
That's unfortunate. Did you go to see Sean when he was over with ITR?
I didn't. No. I don't tend to get out a lot anymore.
I'll tell Lynda to get you stuff for your birthday and Christmas presents for him going forward. So they bring over a lot of big names, OTT. So this is what I was going to ask you about X-Pac, but obviously you didn't see him. But they bring over a lot of big names. Have you ever been starstruck by any of
them? Not necessarily. I don't think I've ever been starstruck in that sense. I've been intimidated by some of these guys. Like Walter he's got like a just a scary presence when he's around. Like when he walks in, and he's constantly stern faced, and he just looks serious all the time. It's like, how do I even approach this? Hello, how are you? What's the story, man? Just, hey, how are you? But yeah, he's very, there's an intimidation factor with him. I felt that way with Tim Thatcher as well, until I actually spoke to him, and then he's just the soundest gentleman, and it's like he's just the nicest bloke. The same then with Eddie Kingston as well, like his kind of he has that reputation of just being like the hardest man in the room. But yeah, he was absolutely bang on.
I heard he's very
Really, really,
forthcoming with advice and stuff like that as well, and he's
very,
just very,
very.
very open about everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's got an opinion, but only if you ask him. Like he'll give you his opinion if you want it. If you don't want it, then fuck you. But nah, he was absolutely bang on, and like he was just again one of those kind of expectation and reality. I was expecting to be like really kind of nervous around him or whatever, but then once I spoke to him, then I was just like, oh shit, like he's bang on. Like I've no reason to be wary around, to be nervous around him at all. Like he's gonna be an absolute professional. Like not that I thought he wasn't gonna be a professional, because
Mhm.
it's Eddie fucking Kingston here.
Yeah.
Like just I just felt like how am I gonna hold up with him? And yeah, just he was fucking absolutely bang on. Gave me advice after the match. I asked him, like I went up and asked him, like, because I did like I don't know, a Pele kick or something like that, and I thought I kicked him in the face, and I was just like, dude, did I catch you with that in there? Because I'm very I'm very wary like that. Like after we matches, I'll always make sure, holy shit, I didn't stiff you, I didn't do
Mhm.
this. Just how was everything? And I was just like, man, I didn't catch it in the head with that. Like, I'm really sorry. Like, I threw that, and he was just like, no, man, no, that's fine. Like, that's absolutely fine. Like, look, if someone is afraid to get hit, you know, there's the fucking door. So like, he's just like, no, you fucking hit me. You hit me because I want to be hit. Like, I'm gonna hit you back, but like, you make sure you hit me.
Well, he gave you plenty of receipts that night, and anyway, even if he did, like. So, you said that you asked Eddie a bit of advice. Is there anyone else that you've kind of hit up for advice? I've spoken to a couple of people. They said that obviously you wouldn't kind of like approach any of the imports and kind of be passionate for any advice.
Hmm.
They're probably on a very very tight schedule, having a bit of
Yeah.
food or whatever. But the kind of people that you may have worked with or anything, is there anyone who you kind of hit up?
Um, yeah, like I'd always ask people after matches and stuff like that, was everything okay, and just have a quick yap with them. Um, every now and then, and like occasionally, like if I can catch them in it, like the thing with Haskins I was talking about earlier,
Hmm.
like where we just like we get to shoot the shit and maybe slip in just like a couple of like, here, any ideas like for such and such. But um, before I got to work with Timothy Thatcher, a few months before that, I think he was over. I think it was him and Walter against the Kings up north, and I was wandering around backstage, and he happened to be just sitting by himself. And it'd been on my mind for a while to say this to just kind of like address this weird elephant in the room, like, mate, sorry, I've been mooching off your name for the past like 4 or 5 years. And he just kind of looked at me. He's just like, I'm sorry you got stuck with it. And then just like, he sat down and just shot the shit then for like a half hour or so. And just like he was giving me little bits of advice here and there. And because I'd noticed he'd been out in the rain, he'd been out um, watching me match during the show. So I was like, okay, well, this is a perfect opportunity then. Like, did you see anything out there? And he was giving me little bits here and there. Um, he has a very unique approach to professional wrestling as well. So like he's yeah, very interesting human being. But like again, one of the nicest people I think I've ever met.
Do you think he'll go far now in his new role?
Uh, I hope so. Just whether they know what to do with him.
Yeah. You've
But
been in the ring with
yeah,
him
no, yeah,
from
yeah.
an in-ring
He's
perspective.
oh yeah, he's he can do it all, except not that he can't. He just chooses not to hit the ropes ever. Or like, yeah, that maybe that might hold him back. But like, that's just a philosophy thing. Just like why would I hit the ropes? Why would I hit the ropes and come back? Why would I bounce off of them? They're not made of rubber. He
Can't
has
really
these
fault
weird
him based on
philosophy.
his style, like
Yeah,
as well. It
exactly.
kind of works, doesn't it? Yeah.
But he's got the logic to back it up as well. It's like don't question things. Don't pull on that thread. It's gonna totally rip the whole jumper.
So have you ever asked sorry, I asked you about advice. What would you
Mm.
say would be kind of one piece of advice that has kind of stuck with you? Is there anyone from like a coach or anything, or even anyone else that you've spoken to that you've been in matches with? Is there anything else that you kind of draw back on that you always kind of think he told me that there, and I've always
Mm.
kind of followed that creed?
um, one kind of piece. I know Joe is constantly telling me just to like stop taking like those kind of bumps and stop taking so many chops. You got to think about tomorrow as well. Like it's all well
Yeah.
and good that you can do this now, but like you got to get up in the morning as well. So like he's giving me advice like that. Like but I think that's more just kind of he's looking out for me.
Hmm.
And but yeah, I get it's a lot of like a lot of the boys will say the same about like slowing down and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I've gotten that advice a few times, and I think I've utilized it of just slowing down. I think back in the day, Chris Masters gave me a deadly little piece of advice as far as planning matches to always plan backwards. So if you have an end in sight, if you have an ending to the match, then that's where you go with it. You go get your ending because that ideally that should be what people will remember. They remember who won and who lost and how it went down, and then plan backwards. Plan how the match should build to there. That should be your highest point. Everything else should kind of fall into place. So you've got your big point there, and you want to make a good first impression. So your entrance has to be important as well. Everything else that happens in the middle is just really nice decorations. But your ending is the most important part. So I always kind of try and stick with that if I'm planning matches and stuff like that. And I use it as examples as well when I'm doing classes or teaching seminars or whatever. That I use the example of Game of Thrones. That Game of Thrones was one of the best TV shows ever,
Hmm.
and it would have went down as the best had it stuck the landing.
Yeah.
But it didn't, and now everyone can only remember how shit that finish was.
Hmm.
So if you take that into account, if you take that in when you're coming up with matches, if your finish sucks, then no one's gonna remember how good the match was. Like you'll always, oh, great match, great match. Ah, if only it didn't end like that.
It's
Like
very,
sometimes
very
you can get
solid
away
piece
with
of
it.
advice.
Sometimes you can get away with it if the match quality is like beyond exceptional.
Hmm.
You can get away with a shit finish, but like 9 times out of 10, people will walk away from a bad finish and shit on the match.
Absolutely. And would there be any piece of advice then? That's obviously what you'd say in your seminars and stuff, which would be more for your kind of already practicing wrestlers who are in training probably a fair bit. Is there any kind of bits of advice that you'd offer out to maybe anyone younger who would be looking to get into wrestling? What advice would you pass on to them?
Um, I'd say the biggest piece of advice is really just commitment. Like if you're gonna do this, you do need 100% commitment to it. I obviously when I started, I had everything to go. Like I had everything in front of me, and yeah, I let it slip a little bit. Um, I wasn't really focused enough on the actual wrestling part. Like I was like I was saying earlier, it was coming naturally to me. So I was uh, I was really enjoying it. But like I had no responsibilities at the time. Obviously, I've got a 5-year-old and a 12-week-old now, and I've got a house to run, and I've got bills to pay. So I don't have that kind of freedom. But when you're getting in, if you're getting in and you're like 16, 17, you've got all the freedom, all the choice. You just need to commit to it. Really, really commit to it. And that's not me making excuses around like for me not doing anything. That's just that's the road that I took, and I am 100% happy with where I am. I've got my kids, I've got my missus, I've got everything everything in front of me at the minute. But if you're coming in and you've got nothing in front of you, unless that's your life goal to settle down with a family, if your life goal is to be like full-time professional wrestler, then give everything you possibly can to it. By all means, have a backup, like have a good education, have something to fall back on, because you may or like this might not last forever, but like do commit 100% to it, because if you're not giving it your all, then there's I don't know, if you're not giving it all, then you're not going to get as much out of it as you can.
Mhm.
Like,
I had CT on the show there not too long ago, and I think you're saying exactly what he said. He says that wrestling will give you as much as you put into it.
exactly.
I think what you're trying to say is that if you give it your all, you're gonna reap the rewards of that,
Yeah.
which I think is something that everyone seems to be following that kind of same line. It seems to be a common trend, and that's sounds like a very solid piece of advice. So anyone listening who's thinking about getting into it, there you go. Go in and give it your
Mm.
all. So if we
That's the
take
thing. Like lately, just like all the guys coming in kind of seem to have that mentality. Like
Mhm.
you see, like Justin Daniels putting that little video up there the other day, or
ridiculous,
yesterday,
I
or
couldn't believe it.
yeah, like 16, 17-year-old, and he's got like such a head and his shoulders. Yeah, just like most of the people coming in nowadays they seem like the crop that we have in now. They seem like they're lifers. Like they're
Mhm.
coming in like this is gonna be what they're gonna do for the rest of their foreseeable future.
I think that's a whole culture shift though in the country as well. Like compared to when the likes of when me and you were growing up, I think
Mm.
that the lifestyle seems to be different as well, and they seem to be a bit more mature and have a better head on their shoulders. I think you probably grew up around the same time that I did. We grew up in a drinking culture,
Yeah,
which
and
was
I
which
think
was huge.
I think that's the thing as well. Like it's not even so much like on a maturity level. I think it's everybody nowadays seems to be career focused.
Mhm.
They have like they have that career in mind. Like when I was coming up, yeah, I wanted to be a wrestler, but I also needed to have money to be a wrestler, so I needed to have a job, and I kept putting having a 9 to 5 and having money over putting the effort into being wrestling. That's all on me. Like that's my own fucking laziness. Like has has got me in that position. But like again, not complaining because of because of where I am. I've got two beautiful daughters that like yeah, that's my commitment. I'm 100% committed to them. But like if like I said, be 100% committed to wrestling if that's what you want to do.
So Terry, who would you say would be your best friends in wrestling? Who's part of your little clique?
Um, See, it's kind of weird to say because generally speaking, I'm actually kind of like socially awkward. So I'm not really in any sort of cliques or anything. Like I have a couple of mates that like I get along with everybody, but
Hmm.
yeah, there'd be a few that I'd probably lean a little closer to. Like there's Ballymun Bruiser
Hmm.
is he's one of my mates, and we've been mates for a very long time, just from back in the IWW days. I don't see him as often because he's not he's not really taking all that many bookings, or at least he wasn't before, the one fell apart. But yeah, like when we'd be working Phoenix shows together, we'd always buzz off each other. Frankie Phoenix, he's a good mate of mine. We get along pretty well. I get along really well with Danny Cross as well. Get along with him pretty well, and Fabulous Nicky as well. Just because we go same again. We go back a little bit. He was in DCW for a little bit, and then through main stage and through OTT. Always gotten along with him really well. I've always really rated him as well. I think he's one of those, like, he's always good to have on a show, because he can throw him anywhere and he'll work for you. He'll do anything for you. And obviously Niall Fox. Because again, regardless of whether he wants to admit it or not, like he wants to admit it publicly, we're brother-in-law, sort of brothers-in-law. Like, he refuses to admit, because I don't know, he wants to keep some sort of a kayfabe around it, but yeah, fuck it. It's like, yeah, well, you know what, when I'm riding his sister, then he can say what he wants about me. So, like,
will he ever get his OTT match?
I don't know. I've pitched that a few times. Just like, let me have a match with Niall. Just Joe shot it down every time. Just like, absolutely not. Can't have me referee going out bashing me lads. Just doesn't work.
In fairness to him, some of the stuff that he's doing lately and some of the bumps that he's taking are unreal. Like, he seems to be stepping his game up when it comes to actual bumping and action in ring. That it looks like he's trying to push the boundaries a bit more to say, here, Joe, give me this match here, like.
Yeah. It is a shame, because, like, back in the day when he was working, Niall was he was always a good solid hand to have in there. Just he happened to be just really good at being a referee. But, like, I get what he means, like, because I used to do a lot of refereeing in IWW, and I'd be in that same kind of position where it's like, oh, I'm just a ref, but, like, he's foxy as well. Like, he's an actual, like, he's a character on the show, like, and an integral part of the show. And, like, he is one of the hardest working people in OTT, because he is out there from start to finish, and, like, he's working like almost as hard, like just as hard as the boys are, with keeping up with everything, and he's got to remember everything, and he's got to keep times in check, and he's got so much going on. He really is one of the hardest working guys in the company. But yeah, you'll always get that itch though of, but I really wish I could get in there and do some moves. I really wish I could get in there and have a match. But I love Foxy. I do. Like, he's my mate, and aside from me mate, he's the father of my niece and nephew. So, like, I kind of have to love him anyway. So, like, but, like, it doesn't hurt that, like, we get along.
Yeah, no, he is absolutely amazing, and, like, we'd love to see a match with him, but I don't think he should be feeling it away. If he does, and I'm not saying that he does, but if he does have the feeling that, oh, I'm just a ref and I want to be a performer more, so he's not just a ref, as you said. He's anything but just a ref. Foxy is, as you said, he's in there from start to finish. He's part of every aspect of that show, and me and other fans absolutely adore him in there. And he is one of the biggest and best characters in OTT. And
like,
as I said, the stuff that he's
a
doing is ridiculous. Like, he's doing dives and battering everyone at the moment, so it's amazing.
Well, like, he was an integral part to the whole, like, the Devlin Star Walter that whole story.
Yeah.
Like when it started getting into those last few matches, and like
Mhm.
Foxy's interventions in it, where they were pivotal points on the matches.
Yeah.
So like he's an integral part to every show, and he was an integral part to that whole story.
I just don't get why the Japanese wrestlers all want to kill him. Like it just seems to be something about the Japanese wrestlers. They all like have this grudge against him. Like I've never seen
I think it's
people
because
look at him
I
like
think it's
that.
because it gets a pop. You turn around and point at him, and everyone goes, "Oh!"
Are the Japanese lads smartened up when they're coming in, like to have a pop of Foxy when they get out there?
Don't know, but
Sorry,
like,
you
yeah, they
mentioned
should.
Fran there a little while ago as well, and Fran was on the show. He was on the previous episode, and one of the things that he actually said was that he'd love to tag with you. He's putting
Mm.
his mind back on doing this full time again. Obviously, we're in lockdown at the moment, but when he gets back, he's been training really hard, especially over the last year, to get back and fit and get in the ring. And that's one of the things that he said was that when he comes back, one of the things that he wants to do is he wants to tag with Terry Thatcher.
Yeah, no, I'd love it because we briefly did a run in main stage where we were kind of, I guess we were brothers. It was never really made clear, but like he came out in the skinny jeans and the Converse and the cut off sleeveless hoodie, and we both had kind of similar hair at the time, and just decided, well, fuck it, we'll be the Thatcher brothers, and yeah, we've ran with it since. Like we'll often have little back and forths on Twitter where we're just, I'm telling your man you, and it's like, I'm telling your man you. But yeah, we'll have little back and forths and stuff like that. But I really get along with Fran. I do, like, he has had to take a bit of time off here and there. Just he got a pretty bad concussion. I think it was about a year and a half ago, and it took him a while to really kind of shake that off. But I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him more often. Down at the skills and stuff, and to start getting back on shows. Like, I know he started to work the Titanic shows before everything went tits up, but like he yeah, he started working some of their shows, and hopefully in time he can start getting back on Contenders and then see where we go from there.
Be great to see him
At
back.
the very least, when everything's back up and running and we get a gym again, we get a new home for the skill. You can get onto the skill shows.
Hopefully. So you've obviously been on the road a fair bit, or you've been around the block. You've wrestled all over the country, and anyway, do you have any fun stories that you could tell me that aren't gonna get you in trouble?
I don't know. There's a few, but I'd definitely get into trouble for some of them, or get other people into trouble. I don't know. Like, I've had a few decent nights out, like, but like most of them, they at least start as decent nights out, and then I can't remember some of them.
They were best nights.
Yeah, back in the day. I don't know. I've not really got any mad, like, there's no mad kind of ribbon stories or anything. Like, there's no, I don't know. Jesus, you think I would? You think I'd have something?
That's one of the main reasons why I want to get Paddy Morrow on the show as well, because I know he has a
Yes.
load of them, and he's
Yes,
told
he
me a
does.
couple when we've bumped into each other. But he's actually said no to doing the show because he's worried that he won't put people over and stuff like that, and he doesn't like doing podcasts. He said, which is
Yeah.
perfectly understandable. But I'm still gonna hound him to come on. And if anyone's listening, please tweet Paddy and just let him know that we want him on the show. But yeah, he's torn me down politely. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I want him on, because one is wealth of knowledge as well. But
Yeah.
I know he has a bag full of amazing stories from the road. Like you see the
Mm.
stuff that he's putting up on Instagram and stuff from back in 2008, and the people who he's been with.
Uh,
I think he did. Him and Maxa recreated the barbershop window
the barber shop.
with
Oh my god! Every time it comes back up, I piss myself laughing of just because no one's expecting it, and he just like dives through the window, and they've got Marty with them and all.
if that's one of the things that he can put up on Instagram, then I'm sure he has a load more that are probably a little bit worse that he could tell on this.
Yeah.
Um.
But that's
Anyway,
it. Like the thing about Paddy as well. Like he's another one of those that like he'd be one of the few that I'd like consider like a mate. Like I would love to get along with outside of wrestling as well.
Mhm.
Like I'd really like that. Like I think the missus might be trying to organize some sort of double date with him and his missus. So like, um, but yeah, like I really get along. I really do get along with Paddy whenever I'm around him. But yeah, he would. I shared a car journey with him down to Limerick for one of the shows, and it was like the whole ride down. He was just like, "This happened, but hey lads, don't say a word, right? But this happened."
he's probably told everyone
yeah,
those stories and told them not to tell it, not to say a word as well.
yeah.
So everyone probably knows. I know he's an
Yeah.
absolute legend, Paddy. And again, if you're watching this or listening to this, tweet Paddy, get him onto the show. So anyway, if we're looking at your wrestling career, so looking forward then. So this is a bit of a
Mhm.
tinker. So where do you see yourself going short term? So let's say the next year or two. Where do we see Terry Thatcher going?
Um, I'd like to do as many OTTs. I'd like to stick with OTT as much as possible, and to uh to kind of get on these like the stadium shows and I'd love to have like a big match. Like I loved working with Eddie Kingston
Mhm.
at the stadium show at the 5th anniversary. I love doing that. It was excellent being in the ring. It was a personal thing for me, but I think on the broad scale of things, it was another match on the undercard. It wasn't a necessarily important match. Like it was a personal important match for me, but like again on a grand scheme, it wasn't. Uh, People weren't exactly paying to see that match. They might have been paying to see Eddie because like they hadn't seen him in ages. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, it wasn't a majorly high profile match. Like again, not that I didn't appreciate the opportunity, but I'd love to have like a big like the Haskins feud.
Mhm.
I would love for that to culminate in a big match at the stadium. Um, I'd love to get another crack at a title. Um, um, maybe even maybe might do some tags as well. Like I wouldn't mind trying out some tags because I've been doing singles for a while. Um, and yeah, who knows? After this is all over, maybe have something new, have some sort of a new challenge to do. Uh,
Well, you're
yeah,
actually you're 6-0 in your last 6 matches in OT.
yeah. Actually, that's a
So
weird one. That
like you're on a streak here at the
yeah,
moment.
bit
Like
of a hot streak.
you won that 5-way Outer Space Odyssey, which was
Mm,
stacked. So like that's
yeah,
huge. You came over Eddie Kingston, Tim Thatcher. Like there's some
yeah,
some pretty big names in there that you're being put over. Um,
yeah. That was the thing as well. Like I was on this big run right up until December, and then I got on the job and I made the decision I was going to take the next few shows off because
mhm,
the pregnancy was getting pretty bad at that point. Lynn was having a lot of trouble getting around and just not. Um, yeah, just it wasn't a good time for her. So I said, well, look, me traveling off the shows and stuff like that is probably it wouldn't be the best because we weren't sure whether she was going to go early, whether she was going to go on time or whatever like that. So I ended up taking a couple of months off, which happened to be the worst possible time to take a few months off because not only was I on this big role, then OTT had like 3 or 4 shows within the space of 2 months, and not only that, Phoenix Wrestling had a couple of shows lined up as well. Some of which like I had to be at one if I was going to be at the other because they had a tournament set up. But yeah, lo and behold, the fucking world goes to shit anyway. So like, yeah, I guess it didn't mean that in the long run. But still though, I missed out on a few paydays. I missed out on a few opportunities there. But again, I was needed at home, so I had to do what I have to do.
Absolutely, that makes sense. But you're still coming out of this on a purple patch, so I presume the fans are expecting you to, when this is all over and you do come back, the fans remember that you were after winning that 5-way. They'll remember that you came over Thatcher and Kingston, and you said that you wanted to maybe go for a title. Is there any particular title that you'd have your eyes set on at the minute?
Well, I'll throw it out into the universe, but like technically, I did never receive a rematch after losing the NLW title. So, if anyone's listening, wouldn't mind cashing that in some point. But I think first and foremost,
very fierce competition in that division at the moment as well, and I think a lot of amazing matches that could be set up.
Yeah,
do go down that road.
I wouldn't mind going one more round with Scotty because we've got one each, so wouldn't mind putting that to bed. But Jesus, having a one-on-one with someone like Omari, like that'd be interesting, just because the fucking size of him. But yeah, I've seen Callum, seen what Callum's been doing, and like he's hovering around that scene as well. So, yeah, I'd love to get in the ring with Callum because we had something going there for a while. Towards the end of last year, we had a bit of a thing, but yeah, unfortunately, it never really got resolved. Well, let's see where it goes. Well, yeah, I'd love to get back in the ring with Callum. But in saying that, there's also there's the GN, which I think is kind of becoming a Belfast exclusive. But I'd love to get on that because I'd love to get Max in the ring and have a knock. Well, I think before I kind of focus on any championships, like there's the Haskins issue. It still needs to be put to bed. Yeah, it's still. I think there's a clamoring out there for that to be finished, and I don't think it's finished yet. I'd love maybe one more go with me and Haskins.
Well, Haskins is also looking at that GN title that he lost to Flex, and says that his issue isn't over with that either. So maybe potentially a number 1 contenders match to finish it off.
Yeah, because that's it. Like the whole thing started was because I wanted a belt, but like, yeah, it got a bit more personal after that. So like, yeah, regardless of whether it's a belt on the line, an opportunity on the line, I think I owe Haskins something. I owe him one.
Absolutely. So take me then into your long term. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years in wrestling?
Training. I'd love to start getting into like the Paddy Mora role of teaching classes. I wouldn't mind dipping my toe in the UK scene, like when this is all over. But like, it all depends. It all depends on whether on my availability, on whether I can actually travel. And but yeah, I think overall I'd like to have a full-time training position where I'm teaching classes, where I'm competently teaching classes as well. Because I was teaching classes for a bit in main stage, where I'd be just taking the Sunday class, and you get like 5 or 6 people maybe showing up, and like it was grand. Like I had a good, like that's where Danny Cross was starting. He was starting on the weekends. He was starting on Saturdays and Sundays, and I got an early with him, and I got in early with Dara Lynch, one of the lads from Kelly August Lynch. I got in early with them, and I got to do a little bit of training at the kind of ground level with them. But it was a bit inconsistent with the classes, because some weeks it'd be on and some weeks it wouldn't. So I couldn't really get into a groove of what I was teaching. Like I couldn't really get into I couldn't really get any sort of momentum where like, oh, well, we'll pick this up from last week, because the class might not have been on the week before. So yeah, it was all right, and plus at that point, main stage wasn't in the best of shape. Like the ring was kind of falling apart, and we get there some weeks, and the whole ring would have to be put back together and stuff like that. So we weren't really getting a lot out of it. But I'd love a few years down the line, when I'm confident enough in my own ability, but like it's passing that knowledge then on is it's a lot harder than I would have expected. You're gonna go in and just like, okay, we'll do this, and then 2 hours are up, and I've only made it through like two of the topics that I wanted to do, and just because I'm a stickler for detail, so I will kind of go over intricate parts that might not seem important, but like hopefully somewhere down the line the trainees will remember. But like, unfortunately, because I take so much time on certain things, I don't get enough done in the space of time that I have. So I'd like to really give that a proper bash, give the training aspect a real proper go, and see what I can do.
I'm sure the trainees would really appreciate it as well. Like you do have a massive wealth of knowledge there, and a big career that you've come through, that you can pass on that information. Obviously, if you can get your time management sorted, which is
Yeah.
but no, that's obviously something to look out for down the line then as well for any trainees. Classes with Terry Thatcher and the School of Irish Wrestling, possibly.
Yeah, hopefully, or get some more seminars down Cork as well.
What I have here now is I have a few fan questions that I threw out on social media earlier on today, and I threw it up in the Facebook fans group a couple of days ago. I really dropped the ball on putting it up on Twitter and Instagram until today. But we got a few last minute questions in anyway, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'll just fire away with these. So we have Emily McCart from the Facebook group asked, were you pissed not winning the GN title from Haskins at the basketball arena show? The whole place was willing you to win, and the crowd expected it to go that way. I'm assuming she means the one-on-one match rather than the triple threat match.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier on, but
yeah,
were you
we
pissed
touched
at
on
it?
it a little bit. No, not necessarily pissed. I mean, like I was hoping, obviously, like going in, and I think the build to it was angling towards I was gonna get the win, but I think honestly it was the surprise of Vicky showing up on the day that just made us go, nah, you know what? I think there's more legs to this.
Yeah.
So let's drag it out a bit longer. Now we dragged. I think we ended up dragging it out too far, to the point where like it was like, okay, well we'll settle it next month, and Haskins wasn't available, or I wasn't available. Like I think the original idea was we are gonna go to the 5th anniversary, but ROH were running a tour at the same time.
Yeah.
So he wasn't available, and obviously Martina wasn't there either. So yeah, that was a bit of a bummer. But like again, I got to wrestle Eddie Kingston instead. So like, not really a letdown.
I just said there's probably still more legs in that as well, and we're all
Yeah.
here for it. Like you're saying, that was probably dragged out a bit. I don't think so. It's standing the test of time with me. As I said, I got
Yeah,
into this last February, and the main kind of feud outside of the main event with like Jordan Starr and Walter is you and Haskins, and I certainly want to see it progress. And as I said, I want to see Lynda and Vicky.
She'd be delighted.
So Declan Bourne, I think it's safe to say that Declan is now. I don't know. Lynda marks out a bit at shows, but I think Deco has our pick for the #1 fan here. So Declan actually sent me on a few, because I'll just let everyone know that you sent out a tweet saying, Deco, now is your chance to ask the questions that you wanted to ask.
Yeah, because the last podcast I did, it was just like, he's been asking for like about a year and a half. It was like, when is someone gonna get Terry Thatcher on a podcast? And then they'll finally get a podcast. And yeah, he had nothing to ask. He had no questions. He's like, letting the side down here, Deco.
No, I actually tagged him in the Facebook group when I put up about the questions, saying this one was for him. So, so he actually has 4 questions here, which will rattle them out. So, so the first one was, how did you feel about OTT having the Rubber Bandits and Al Porter on a show? Do you feel it took away from you having a match on that show?
Nah, it didn't take away. Did you stop that? Sorry.
You're all right.
No, it didn't take away.
Hi, Lynda.
Hi.
Just saying no. His cabinets look like your cabinets.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Hello.
All right. No, it didn't take away. Yeah, it's yeah, it was a kind of a comedy show anyway. So like, it helped that they were on it. And plus I wasn't really at the position where I was getting like, I was in high demand for bookings or anything at that point in OTT. Like I was, the skinhead thing hadn't really taken off, as well as we would have liked. But like, absolutely not. No, like I wouldn't be put out by people with some mainstream appeal coming onto the show.
I think it also drags the people in as well to kind of
exactly.
It builds up everyone. I think it goes back to the old argument of I think we had a lot of it last year in WWE where Ronda Rousey came in. I think it drags the eyes in, and Brock as
brought
well.
a lot of casuals in. Yeah,
that's it. Like, and at the end of the day, it's going to make it better for everybody in any way. Even if it's just a sacrifice for one show, it's probably going to make it better in the long run. So he asked then, is there any Irish celebrity that you would like to see at a show?
I don't know. Like, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing the Rubber Bandits back on it, or some more of the cast, like the old cast of Flat of Ted and stuff like that. Like stuff that Irish people can really get into. Like not just like, someone off of Fair City or something like that. Or I know what he's angling for me to say. He's angling for me to say Leanne Kiernan or something. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing the Rubber Bandits back on, or just Blind Boy by himself, or like, or some more of the cast of Father Ted.
Yeah, they definitely bring a different flavor to it as well, and kind of lighten the show up a bit for those certain aspects that they're on. So Declan then goes on to ask, what other sports do you watch beside wrestling?
None really. I don't really like. I don't watch an awful lot. Like I've been watching a lot of like I've been watching all the Marvel movies over the past few weeks, just in lockdown because I have Disney Plus and they're available now. But yeah, I don't really watch a lot of. Definitely not. Like I wouldn't watch an awful lot of sport. I'd watch football with my dad if I'm down there. But yeah, that's about it.
I think we
I
know
don't
what
really watch an awful lot of
I
sport.
think we know what Decco's angling
Exactly.
at here. So it brings me to
Yeah, he's out of
question
the game.
4, which is, do you want to go to a Rovers game or an Irish women's game when the football comes back? As we know, he's a super
Yeah.
huge Rovers fan, Irish women's international fan, and Terry Thatcher
Mm,
fan. I think out of 3. I
yeah.
don't know what order he's put them in now, but um,
Would I go? You know what? It'd make his little day, wouldn't
absolutely.
it? Yeah, I suppose if I'm free, sure. But yeah, kids and whatnot.
So our next question comes from Foxy, the one and only.
Hmm.
He's asking, what are your top 5 video games?
Top 5 video games. I I don't play a lot anymore, or at all anymore. So I'm like just old school games. So I don't know. Resident Evil, the OG, bad dialogue and all. Um, see, Streets of Rage, Sonic, Sonic 2. I want to say Golden Axe. So just yeah, loads of old, like really fucking old shit. And yeah, solely just for nostalgia purposes, I'd say Attitude. It was a fucking terrible game, but I loved it when I was 12.
So we just say anything in Sega Mega Drive era. So this I didn't get when he asked because I'm not aware of it. So Angus McAnally Jr. said, ask him about the chair shot from me at Fringe. And I'm presuming there's a
Yeah,
story here, so I'd like to hear it.
yeah. The early days of OTT, they ran their biggest show at the time was in the um as part of the Fringe Festival in um the Spiegel tent in the middle of the city centre, and it was this really cool premise for a show, and I was tagging with Ballymun Browser at the time, and we didn't have we didn't have a match on the show, but like Joe asked us to do an angle where Rocky Mac was going to be kind of hosting the show with Ango, and Ango hadn't come on as a character yet or a commentator or anything yet. He was just a super fan that was there every month. But he had connections with some of the people from the Fringe Festival, and we ran this angle where Rocky's out there with Ango, and then Bruiser comes out and interrupts them, and I leg it in from behind and jump Rocky, and me and Bruiser uh, hit Ango a few smacks as well, and then later on the night we come out, we're doing a run in on Danny Butler, and then on our way back, Ango and Rocky come out with chairs and hit us a couple of smacks, and we each take stunners and take big bumps out of the ring, and they all have a beer and whatnot. So we tried to play into it a little bit when Contender started, and yeah, just Ango was gonna not bury me on commentary, but like he wasn't gonna be very complimentary of me either. But yeah, eventually turned babyface, and he couldn't. He wasn't. Yeah, kind of dropped it. Went away after a while. But yeah, those first couple of contenders, he was just like, "Oh, here's this prick now." Like, Jesus, Angle.
I think we have Tony's after managing to take that mantle over with
Yeah.
especially with the stuff after, was it WrestleRama, when he was saying that you let Orla down and stuff, and
Yeah, yeah. He not to shatter his character around, but he actually apologized to me after. He was just like, "I'm so sorry." Like it's just, I felt awful saying that.
it absolutely, like, it was pivotal to the story, and
Mhm.
it made perfect sense for him to say it.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, but he actually, like, yeah, he went through you a bit there. The last thing I have, Terry, and anyway, is my list of 22 quickfire questions, which I will be asking everybody who comes onto the show.
Okay.
And I'll hopefully compile them at some stage. I'll go back through them and throw them into a spreadsheet or something and see how they compare.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's a few from, like, in wrestling, a few from kind of outside the ring, in the locker room, kind of stuff like that. But they're fairly swift. Expand on them if you want. Give one word answers, one sentence answers if you want, whatever you kind of want here. So, we'll get cracking. So, question number one: who is your favorite wrestler?
All time, Shawn Michaels.
Solid answer. Same as myself, by the way. So what is your favorite wrestling theme song, or do you have them?
Oh shit. Balls. uh, oh, fuck, I don't know. Probably Shawn Michaels. I'm just gonna go with Sexy Boy.
So what's your favorite match then that you've been involved in?
That I've been involved in. Versus Haskins, contenders 14.
And do you have a favorite match that you haven't been involved in?
Uh, Favorite match ever was probably Taker versus Shawn in the Force Hell in a Cell. Favorite match I've ever seen live though. I'm gonna say Walter versus Devlin. Or maybe Devlin versus Strickland. I don't know. It's a toss up.
Which Walter Devlin match?
Uh, the one at Scrapper 4, just the big stadium win.
hmm So have you had any injuries?
None serious. I've had loads of little niggling injuries, like my wrist and my ankles are pretty bad now. Actually, just before lockdown, I was having some issues with my foot. Um, and every now and then I'll have the occasional problems either from after matches or after training, but nothing serious. I kind of messed up my ankle back in the day, but um, I never got it checked out, so I don't know if there was anything really broken or like damaged with it. But yeah, that bothered me for a while, but nothing serious that I know of.
Nothing major, touch wood.
Mm.
So in your opinion then, who would you say has the best mic skills in OTT?
Uh, Probably Justy, I'd say, or Barry. Yeah, I think it's one of the good. Like, there's plenty of people who can cut really good promos, but like nobody is as comfortable on the mic as those two.
Yeah, the same kind of names keep popping up when I ask that question. So this next one then. So no offense to anybody, but if you were to pick one person who is your absolute banker to go and make it big in wrestling, who are you backing?
Um, I want to say either Scotty or Valkyrie. I think
If you have to pick
Valkyrie's.
one,
If I have to pick one, Valkyrie.
as I said, there's loads of these in OTT as well, and there's no offense meant to anybody here, but
Oh,
it's
absolutely not.
one absolute banker if you had to put like money on it or something. But yeah, Valkyrie's a good show. Do you have a guilty pleasure favorite wrestler?
I suppose, like I said earlier, probably Ultimate Warrior, but like, yeah, because yeah, he was an awful human being. But I remember dressing up as him as a kid. So like,
It's a fair answer. Do you have any merch?
um, I don't have like a merch store. I do have some old T-shirts, like what I'm currently wearing. But yeah, I've got loads of these left, so I actually genuinely I need to get rid of them. So I'm gonna try and set up a big cartel soon. Just try and shift some of these. And I think I actually may still have one or two of my old T-shirts as well. Few people have gotten on to me, but I genuinely I just keep forgetting to get back to them about sending them out. Like, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, if anyone's been watching on
Ideally,
YouTube as well, it actually has below your picture, Terry. By the way, it actually has Big Cartel coming soon.
yeah.
So yeah, so watch
Ideally,
this
I'd
space.
love to get like a set of suspenders made with like brace yourself written on them, but like
That'd be pretty cool.
I need they're like really expensive to get made. I'd have to charge like about 70 quid per pair.
You could only wear them to shows as well. Like I'm like no offense
Yeah,
here,
you
but
wouldn't really
I'm not
yeah.
wearing braces outside, like but like if I was going to a show, I'd probably stick them on,
Yeah.
but like I'm not gonna be rocking around. Like I got this T-shirt by the way in the door today. It's the Socialist Scum
Nice.
Star one. But yeah, like I'm gonna throw this on me, like, but like, I don't know about the
Yeah.
suspenders and like that if they're gonna cost you too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Big Cartel coming soon. Anyone who's interested there. So who would you say then you've had the best chemistry in the ring with?
Um, I've always had really good chemistry with Ballymun Browser. I know a lot of people don't. Like he can be a bit difficult to work with, but I think me and Browser get along so well that I know what to expect from him, and vice versa. And we always tend to have decent matches. And also I mentioned him earlier, but Mark Flanagan, Adam Ace, he used to wrestle as Kenji in main stage, and yeah, always had really good chemistry with him. He was a good friend. Actually, I forgot to mention him earlier in like friends outside of wrestling, but like yeah, he's one of those lads. I don't like obviously because he's living in Canada. I don't get to see him anymore. But there was a year or two where it seemed like every show we're on, we're having matches against each other. So he'd be one that I'd have instant chemistry, and then of course Haskins as well.
Cool. So would you prefer to work as a singles or a tag?
I don't know. I think I'm better as singles, but I'd love to give tag a bash. I'd love to have like a big tag partner and do the power and speed, or like I take the heat, they come in and do the hot tag and do the cleaning house and whatnot. So yeah, I wouldn't mind giving that a bash.
I think that would kind of take away. I get where you're coming from, but I think that would kind of take away from your kind of your what would we call it? Your Mighty Mouse kind of thing, like the smaller wrestler. I
Yeah,
say Mighty Mouse comes into my mind because that's what you always hear Vince McMahon want as Mighty Mouse, like. But you seem to live by the David versus Goliath story,
yeah.
and I think that works for you as well in a lot of aspects. So I think if
That's a good
you're
point.
going in there and taking the beating, and then someone else is coming in to get the hot tag. I think, just in my opinion, I think it takes away from all the work that you've put in
Mm.
already.
No, I see what you mean. But it's good though, because like with tag team wrestling, there's so many options. There's so many different ways of going about it. Like generally speaking, yeah, it would be just like hot tag guy comes in, cleans house, finish. But like you see some of these matches, like some of the NXT matches and the AEW matches where these tag team matches are like they'd have like 3 different heat sections in it. Like one team would get a heat, would be beaten down on one of the guys, and then they make the hot tag, but then they get just loads of different ways of working tag matches nowadays. So like I'd like to give that a bash, just because I haven't. I like a challenge. Going heel was a challenge. Turning back babyface was a challenge. Yeah, and I'd like to give this a bash as well.
Now we already touched on this a little bit earlier on. So what are you watching?
Yeah, just mainly the MCU. I've also been catching up. Well, not catching up, but I've also been watching the old X-Men cartoon from the 90s.
Cool.
Been starting to watch that again, and it's handy as well because Orla will watch it with me. So like she's not pestering me to change it around. She's actually really getting into it, and unfortunately now she's using it against us, where like we'd be trying to tell her something to do, and she's just like, "Dad, you don't know future. You're not Jean Grey." It's like, oh, don't you dare use X-Men against me.
If she was really clever now, she'd start bringing out the if you keep this up, Dad, then I'm gonna start watching Paw Patrol again. And make it I know, but fair play to her. She has good taste. So one word, I only want one word to describe Joker Bray.
Intimidating.
That makes perfect sense. and I think he'd agree with you.
Like he never means to do it. He doesn't mean to come across as intimidating. He just that's just kind of his presence now. Like even like when I was on the day of the 5th anniversary, and I walk up to Eddie Kingston, and I was just like, okay, I don't know what's happening in the match. And it was just like, we'll get a hold of Joe and we'll find out, and we'll find out what's going on. And we seen Joe, and he's just, I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Eddie kind of just looks at me and just like, I've never been able to get a read on that fucking guy. He's just like, he's real, just like there's something about Joe, like he's stoic and quiet, but like there is something really intimidating about him.
I think he said it on Tony Kelly's podcast. Did you listen to him on Tony's podcast?
Yeah, I did. I only listened to it the other day. Like he's real kind of just think he's an introvert by nature. Like he's quiet.
He also just has so much to do on a show day as well, and you can kind of understand it. And I actually bumped into Joe.
He might seem like he's standoffish, but he's actually just like he's just got like 17 plates going at the same time.
Like I've actually bumped into Joe. I've said hello to him a couple of times at shows, and you get the quick hello, and he's gone. But I actually bumped into him outside of OTT a few months ago, and I was shocked with the response that I got. He was all smiles, he was happy and chatty, and I was a little bit taken aback. I was just kind of like, who are you? Like I was expecting the quick hello and gone, but no, like he stopped and he chatted and he was really happy and smiley, and it really took me aback a little bit. But but no, I completely understand where you're coming from with that. But do you think? Sorry, I think me and Callum spoke about this. Do you think he is playing into it at all?
Maybe a little, because he is actually genuinely like he's such a nice bloke. So maybe he does put that on just to keep people at distance a little bit. And I don't know. I think it was Callum said it as well. It's just like he does that just so people will fuck off. You can leave him alone.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is getting into the dressing room then. So who would you say is the most annoying in the dressing room?
Uh, most annoying. I don't know. Like,
Not in a bad way,
yeah,
like, but like,
yeah, just but someone who just like does people nothing,
yeah,
but like in a harmless way.
hmm
It would be Karen. It would be Martina.
yeah,
She wrecks everyone's head, but in a lovable way. Like
yeah.
she's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
You can't be angry with
Um,
her, like,
hmm. If see, I don't want to like again. I don't want to say he's annoying, but like someone like Captain Sexy would be like he'd pester people in like in the weirdest little ways. Like,
yeah,
but no, he wouldn't actually annoy anybody. He just like, the fuck are you doing, man? Like there was he had this like video going around a while back where like I think it was like Scrapper Mania 4, and it's just him going around in his little tight little pink jocks and his little speedo cap, and he just starts kind of like waltzing around Will Ospreay while Ospreay is trying to like come up with ideas, and Ospreay is just like looking at him the whole time and just starts pissing himself laughing. But like again, it's not so much annoying as it is he's always active. He's always doing something.
yeah. So who would you say has the best ring gear? Is there anyone's ring gear that you look at and say, oh, that's good? I'd like me a bit of that.
Maybe Debbie.
Debbie's
Debbie
gear is
is like,
class.
yeah, she's got class gear, but like it's her like she's constantly like being able to do like 2 wardrobe changes in one show, where she'll come out at the start of the show wearing something completely different. Like she's like absolutely on point with her gear and her entrance gear and the clothes that she wears, even when she's like doing managers or whatever. Like she's like, yeah, she's fucking on point with stuff like that.
Absolutely. So then, who would you say would be the best to room with if you were traveling?
Um, well, personally, I'd room with Fran
hmm
because yeah, we get along. And yeah, he wouldn't judge me for smoking.
That was something that CT brought up on the show as well. Was that someone who doesn't smoke and someone who doesn't snore were just two things.
Hmm.
But so who would you say, is there anyone that you say would be the worst to room with while traveling?
Um, I don't know, probably Glennon, probably Martina. Just like,
Up till 7 in the morning, trying to
yeah,
get you
yeah.
dance to
It's like,
Sandstorm and Maniac.
yeah, and the questions as well. Like, yeah, I just no, I get enough of that at home. Just like,
Who would you say has the best taste in music?
All right, here. Come on.
best taste in music. I don't know. I want to actually. Sorry, probably Martina as well. What are you doing?
You're right here now.
I'll be with you in a minute.
It's been like 3 hours.
Okay, I'll be with you in a minute.
Sorry, Lynda.
Oh, again.
It's been 2 hours.
Yeah, it's been 2.
Apologies.
12:15.
We're nearly finished.
I don't know. Who has the best taste in music? I genuinely,
The best taste in music out of the rest of us.
yeah. I don't know. Probably, actually, yeah, probably Paddy Moore, because he likes his old school 90s hip hop.
I like Motown.
And is there anyone who you say would have the worst taste in music? Anyone who you've listened to or have a playing or on, and you've just been like, "Jeez, that's horrendous."
Probably maybe Dara Lynch.
Yeah, I think who was it that described him? Said that he listens to sad boy music.
that was Callum, I think.
Yeah, I think it was Callum.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So who would you say has the best dress sense?
I don't know. Maybe Scotty. Scotty looks slick.
His name
And
keeps
Jordan
cropping
as
up.
well. Jordan, if Jordan wouldn't, he wears socks with sandals, and that's just unforgivable.
It
Like, I
absolutely is.
can't
It
let that
depends
go.
what socks and what sandals.
It does
though.
not. It does
No.
not. He's not allowed to wear socks
It
and sandals
depends
at the
what
same
socks
time.
with sandals. If he wears Hugo Boss like sandals and then like the proper,
No,
he's alright.
sorry.
You're all good. So, who would you say has the worst dress sense?
Worst.
Worst what?
Uh,
Worst what?
dress sense.
Worst dress sense?
Either
It's Justy.
it's not Justy.
It is Justy.
It is
the
not.
best and the worst.
No, the worst dress sense is either Aiden, because he tends to just kind of put everything on at the
it's
same
not.
time.
No, it's
Will
not
you stop?
Aiden. It's not Aiden.
No, seriously, will you stop? Sorry.
Not Aiden.
Aiden, because he likes to wear all of his clothes at the same time, or Maxer, because he's stuck in the late 90s, early 2000s. He still wears boot cuts.
So, my very last question, and you can take this up whatever way you want. So, who's the longest in the shower?
Genuinely haven't noticed. I don't know. Yeah, I genuinely I wouldn't know.
Okay,
I don't tend to clock it.
I don't know as good as an answer as any. But that's all the quickfire questions that I have, and that's pretty much everything that I have for you tonight, Terry.
Grand.
I just want to thank you
yeah.
very much for
Fucking
coming
bashed
on
over here.
and and your time. And I do apologise to Lynda for going long. I do understand. I just do have the family there, and your time is very precious. And I do just want to genuinely thank you for giving up these couple of hours to chat with me this evening.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I hope it was somewhat entertaining.
It absolutely was, especially the little tiffs, which will be left in every single one. But for anyone who's watching or listening, if you could head over, follow Terry on Twitter at Detached, follow myself on Twitter and Instagram at KOOK_pod, and if you head over to YouTube, Kicking Out a Kayfabe, and subscribe and watch the videos there, and follow Lynda as well. What's Lynda's handle? Do we know Lynda's Twitter handle?
At midget mammy.
There you go, at midget mammy, and pester her to get into the ring and get training for Vicky Haskins. Coming soon to an OTT ring near you, hopefully.
Yeah.
But again, Terry, thank you very, very much for coming on. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in person very, very soon.
Absolutely, man.
And
Thank you.
thanks everybody for watching or listening. Until the next time.